Remember that time we went fishing and you fell in?
Oh man, don't remind me. I was soaked.
It was hilarious, though. You two look like drowned rats.
My name is Brian Hartman, and for 12 years, I believed I had built a family, a real one. I married Sarah when her son, Charles, was just 7 years old. He was a shy, uncertain kid trying to understand why his biological father had died in an accident, or so I was told. I stepped in eagerly. I taught him baseball, math, and what it means to be responsible. I held him during his nightmares and cheered at every single one of his school events. I worked 80-hour weeks just so he'd never feel the instability he'd known before. And I loved his mother with everything I had. Our house in Connecticut looked like the picture of stability. The perfect kitchen, a roaring fireplace in winter, a balcony overlooking the woods. I financed all of it. But behind those walls I so carefully maintained, something else was growing. As Charles grew into a teenager, he didn't just drift away like most kids do. He recoiled. Every conversation became a fight. Every suggestion was met with hostility. Every attempt I made to connect was shot down. "Why do you even care?" he'd snap. "I didn't ask you to pay for anything." Sarah always defended him, saying, "He's just under stress," but it wasn't stress. It was distance, sharp and intentional. I didn't realize then that the looks they exchanged weren't anxiety, they were planning. The first crack appeared on a November night when I came home early from a business trip. Sarah was on the bed, clutching her phone, guilt written all over her face. But the real gut punch? A man's Rolex on the dresser. The inscription read, "To Mark, with all my love." It wasn't mine. It wasn't a family heirloom. It was a lie wrapped in another lie. The weeks that followed felt like watching a play where everyone but me knew the script. Sarah guarded her phone like a fortress. She and Charles were constantly whispering. They planned a family trip to Vermont with a suspicious urgency. Then came the moment that destroyed everything. I found Sarah's phone. The passcode was 0424 Charles's birthday. Inside, I found hundreds of intimate texts with a man named Mark, plans for a romantic cabin trip, conversations about how to handle Brian, and then the killer blow, a photograph. It was Sarah, Charles, and a silver-haired man I'd never seen before, all smiling like a lifelong family. The timestamp? Last December, when I was away on a business trip. The truth burned through me. Mark was Charles's real father. Sarah had lied from day one. I had spent 12 years raising a boy who called another man dad behind my back. A boy who knew the entire time. That night, I didn't confront them. I called my old college friend Derek, now a private investigator. Within days, the truth was catastrophic. Sarah and Mark had been together for 2 years. Hospital staff knew her as Mark's girlfriend. Charles introduced Mark as his real father at school. Sarah had even forged tuition invoices, and I had been funneling tens of thousands of dollars into their shared account. It was a lone con, and I was done being the fool. The confrontation happened on its own. It was early December, and a black Mercedes with a license plate, Dr. Mark, was parked in my driveway. I walked inside quietly, and there they were, Sarah, Charles, and Mark, cooking dinner like a happy, united family. My role? Erased. Sarah dropped her glass when she saw me. "Brian, you're home early." Mark stepped forward, hand extended. "I'm Mark. I've heard a lot about you." I ignored him. "How long have you been sleeping with my wife?" I asked. Then Sarah whispered the words that shattered everything. "He's Charles's biological father." It all clicked. The resemblance, the hostility, the secrets. I looked at the boy I'd raised. "I was never your father, was I?" He didn't answer. I turned to Sarah. "Pack your things." "You two are gone by morning," Sarah begged and cried, collapsing to the floor. "I love you," she pleaded. I felt nothing. "Congratulations, Mark," I said. "They're yours now. The next morning, they were gone. What surprised me most was the overwhelming sense of peace. Life after betrayal is quiet, sharp, and free. Sarah returned the stolen money. The divorce was quick. Months later, Charles resurfaced, asking for help. No, I said simply. You chose him. Now live with that. He left in tears, and for the first time in years, I felt in control. A year later, Mark died of a heart attack. Sarah fell into debt and lost her home. They returned one last time, begging for help. I opened the door just enough to speak. No, I repeated. We were never family. You made sure of that. Years passed. I rebuilt my life. I found real love with a woman named Allison. We married in Hawaii and welcomed our daughter, Emily. One day, I ran into Sarah and Charles at a park. They looked older, tired. Brian, she said, you look happy. I am, I answered, and I realized there was no bitterness, no fire. Just closure. Charles eventually wrote me a heartfelt letter, not asking for anything, just thanking me. I wrote back, not to reconnect, but to acknowledge the man he'd finally become, because the greatest revenge isn't cruelty, it's peace, and I earned mine the hard way. Thank you for listening to my story. Follow for more.